All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Harakah HaKodash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders, Salakia, of Great Millstone, and a sincere Shalom to Yakim, bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. And as you see here, this topic of lesson, it will be on the importance of the armor bearer, man. Right? And it's not a role to glory over, as none of the roles of the body are to glory over. We're supposed to, be humble and meek, offering ourselves fully unto Yahweh Bashim Shah. But the important is position. But the position is important nonetheless, as is the rest of the body, man. When we go into the book of Romans, the 12th chapter, and 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, they both speak on, all the different positions of the bodies of the office, right? And every part of the body is a necessity. That's why when one lacks, the whole body feels it. But this particular lesson is just speaking on the position of armor bearer, right? So the role of the armor bearer was very important in ancient Israel and other cultures of the Near East. It was both practical and symbolic. Here's a breakdown of its importance. Right, so it says practical military role. An armor bearer carried the weapons, shield, and armor of the warrior or leader they served. Right, and it quotes 1 Samuel 14:6. So we're going to actually go into that whole account, right, because it serves and it shows forth the importance of the trust that armor bearer had within that king or within that military leader, and also showed that the armor bearer wasn't only a person, who, carried the armor. No, he had to fight too. So he had to be equipped in the flesh to know the art of war and to be trusted by the king or that military general in itself, man. And when you take a look at that position in the spirit, the head doesn't just know, what the breakdowns of the truth are, everyone has to know, right? So that knowledge has to trickle down into all the members of the body. So this 1 Samuel 14, I'm going to start here at 6. And it reads, And Jonathan said to the young man that bare his armor, so his armor bearer, Come and let us go over unto the garrison of these uncircumcised, right? So the armor bearer had to be as fearless, and as trusting as that king, right? Because the king is ultimately making that decision, or that head is making the decision of what's going on. So faith within what? In the government, right? In that ruler, as well as faith in Yahweh Bashim Shai. So said, and Jonathan said to the young man that bare his armor, Come and let us go over into the garrison. Because you have to also think about, what that armor bearer is doing. He has to be as strong or just as strong as the king, right? In terms of physical capability, because here it is, he's the one, carrying forth that armor of the king, right? So the king himself isn't getting weary or tired, right? Now, physical, what's the word? To basically be, like when you go into the gym, you work out, you may do 3, 4, however many sets, and you become fatigued. Hey, that's the word called you become fatigued. And with that armor bearer, has to bear that armor or carry it for as long as needed, so the king or that general isn't fatigued, man, and then he has to fight as well, right? So it's a very important position of ultimately you, holding forth burdens from off the head so that all things can be what? Managed for the rest of the body. And it's the spirit, because Yahweh Shema Shai had me do that lesson concerning what's a prophet or the man of the Lord's duty, which is what? To minister and suffer. We're here to serve one another and suffer, and ultimately serve Yahweh Shema Shai. But I want to get into, a quick, account, right, concerning Jethro and Moses. Moses was basically being overwhelmed by the request and speaking to all Jake, man. So Jethro gave him that counsel you know, and how to deal with Jake, man. Trying to find it. Salaki. Yeah, right here. This is Exodus 18 and 14. It says, and when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he had did to the people, he said, what is this thing that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning unto even? So here it is. He's hearing all the matters of Jake, you know, and carrying that burden all by himself. Jethro is basically saying you need a council. You need ultimately armor bearers, men who are able to bear that burden with you, but yet stand on the cord, you know, of your voice. Right? It says, and Moses said unto his father-in-law, because the people come unto me to inquire of the Most High. When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another, and I do make them know the statutes of the Most High, Yahweh, and his laws. And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, the thing that thou doest is not good. Thou wilt surely wear away. Right? Much like that king. If he has to, you know, be the head of mind, you know, to direct where the troops are going, you know, to direct provision, to, you know, all those matters by himself, he's going to wear away. Much like the heads of the camp, man. That's why they dictate, you know, positions and order for the men under them, because it's a heavy duty to try to bear it all by yourself, man. You know, it will wear you away. You know, so we're here to alleviate, as the scripture says, bear ye one another burdens. We're here to alleviate stress from each other, while at the same time, you know, ministering and serving one another. It says, thou wilt surely wear away, both thou and this people that is with thee. For this thing is too heavy for thee. Thou art not able to perform it thyself alone. Right? Hearken now unto my voice. I will give thee counsel. And Yahweh shall be with thee. Be thou for the people toward the Most High, that thou mayest bring the causes unto Yahweh. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear the Most High, right? So like-minded men, right? In spirit, in character, in action, right? Like-minded men. Men such as fear the Most High, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. And let them judge the people at all season. And it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, meaning what? The matters that they can't handle, you know, through that rank or that order, that are heavier or over their understanding, whatever the case may be. Those are the matters that ultimately get brought unto you, right? But it's a chain of command at that point. But every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee. There it is, right? Because Yahweh Shema Shai is making us all a kingdom of judges, priests, and kings, man. Right? So I'm going to grab this precept in the book of Ecclesiastes because it supports it. And then I'll go back into 1 Samuel. This is Ecclesiastes 4. It's 4 and 3. So like it. 8, 4 and 8. It says, there is alone. It's like it. There is one alone, and there is not a second. Yea, he hath neither child nor brother. Yet there is no end of all his labor. Right? Neither is his eye satisfied with riches. Neither saith he, for whom do I labor and bereave my soul of good? This is also vanity. Yea, it is a sore travail. Right? Because the scriptures also tell us, right, that iron sharpeneth iron. So to be able to have that counsel or that system of checks and balances is very much needed, right? It says 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. Again, if 2 lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And you see the importance of the body, of the brotherhood, as you progress within the ministry, man. Yahweh Shema Shai opens up your mind to understand more, right? And it becomes even more intimate. It says, again, if 2 lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, 2 shall withstand him. And a threefold cord is not quickly broken. That's the point, man, right? There is strength in spiritual numbers, man. And Yahweh Shema Shai doesn't need a lot. As we know, victory standeth not in the multitude of a host, but strength cometh from heaven. But the scriptures also tell us what? When two or three or more are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst thereof, right? So to go back to the book of 1 Samuel, the 14th chapter, in the 6th verse, it says, and Jonathan said to the young man that bears armor, come and let us go over into the garrison of these uncircumcised. It may be that the Lord will work for us, for there is no restraint to Yahweh to save by many or by a few. That's the spirit, right? It says, and his armor bearer said unto him, do all that is in thine heart. Turn thee, behold, I am with thee according to thy mind. Right? In unison, man. Right? I am with you completely, whatever you decide. Right? Then said Jonathan, behold, we will pass over unto these men, and we will discover ourselves unto them. If they say unto us, tarry until we come unto you, then we will stand still in our place, and we will not go up unto them. But if they say, thus, come up unto us, then will we go up. For the Lord Yahweh hath delivered them into our hand, and this shall be a sign unto us. Right? And another thing about that armor bearer is he never tries to take that position of that leader, man. He understands his position is next to him. Right? As Yahweh Shai knew his position was next unto Yahweh. That's why he always gave credit back unto the top, man. Though he's the only begotten, the son of Yahweh, he understood his position was number 2, which is ultimately number 1 unto us. Right? So Yahweh Shai is the perfect example, right? Because he comes in like mind of who? Of his father, of Yahweh. As we have to be in like mind of who? Our head, Yahweh Shai. Continuing. It says, come up unto us, then we will go up, for the Lord Yahweh hath delivered them into our hand, and this shall be a sign unto us. And both of them discovered themselves unto the garrison of the Philistines. And the Philistines said, behold, the Hebrews come forth out of their holes, where they had hid themselves. And the men of the garrison answered Jonathan and his armor bearer and said, come up to us. Right there, that's the sign. The Lord was going to deliver them into their hands, and we will show you a thing. And Jonathan said unto his armor bearer, come up after me, for the Lord hath delivered them into the hands of Israel. So during this battle, or as they're speaking unto themselves, tensions is heavy, but they understand and they trust in what? In Yahweh Shema Shai. And confidence is bounced between both of them. That fire kindles between both of them, man. Right? And here it is. They're about to go in through the spirit, man. They're about to fight. Right? And understand that every fight is a life or death event. It says, and Jonathan climbed up upon his hands and upon his feet, and his armor bearer after him. And they fell before Jonathan, and his armor bearer slew after him. Right? So when we read that in NLT, it says, so they climbed up using both hands and feet, and the Philistines fell before Jonathan, and his armor-bearer killed those who came behind them. Back to back in the trenches, man. You know, getting down through the spirit, man. Yahweh Shemashah said, well, he teaches our hands to war. Was not King David and his mighty men doing the same? It says they killed some 20 men in all. It's like they killed some 20 men in all, and their bodies were scattered over about half an acre. Woo. Right? But that's the point right there, man. That's just one account. I want to grab another scripture, because we understand King David was Saul's, or it's like David before he became king was Saul's armor bearer. This is 1 Samuel 16 and verse 20. Yep, 21. I'll start here at I'm gonna start at 18. 17. And Saul said unto his servants, provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. Then answered one of the servants and said, behold, I have seen a son of Jesse, the Bethlehemite, that is cunning and plain, and a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent in matters, right? A man after the Most High's heart, right? Beloved of the Most High, right? But it showed that King David had those characteristics that we spoke about. And a comely person, and the Lord Yahweh is with him. Wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse and said, send me David thy son, which is with the sheep. That's spiritual in itself, man. Right? The keeper of the sheep. It's our position as well. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread and a bottle of wine and a kid, right, which is a goat, and sent them by David his son unto Saul. And David came to Saul and stood before him, and he loved him greatly. And he became his armor bearer, right? So there it is. That's position and rank right there. Age 5375. Armor bearer. It's Nasha. Nasha'a. Either Nasha'a or Nasha. Right? And it says what? To lift, to bear up, to support, to sustain, to endure. Now, where in this does it say be the head or to be the top man? Nowhere, right? To lift up, exalt, to support, aid or assist, to bear continuously. Right? To lift oneself up. And it's not you that you're lifting. It's the one you're supporting and whom you're lifting. To extol. Right? Because also understanding in the spiritual sense, the armor bearer is what? There to give for exhortation unto that head, man. Right? To help, to hold up, to honor, to magnify. Right? Now let's get some more precepts. This is coming from the book of Luke, because we gave forth, or Slacky. I'm going to actually go back into chat. Slack. It says, in battle, he acted as a second fighter, ready to protect his master or strike down enemies. He made sure the warrior was not weighed down until it was time for combat. He served as a bodyguard, always near the leader, to defend him against sudden attacks. Since a king or commander was a prime target, the armor bearer's vigilance could mean life or death, right? And also, the armor bearer is closer into, the rest of that body. Right? Because everyone isn't able to be nigh unto the king, right? Or that general. So the armor bearer is able to relate more unto the lower ranks, right? So he deals with them, That's not the king's job. It's a symbol of loyalty and service. The armor bearer's closeness to his master symbolized trust, loyalty, and humility. His role wasn't about rank, but about faithful service, right? It says the position often prepared younger men for greater responsibilities. By serving closely under a leader, they learned courage, strategy, and faithfulness. Now, here's the thing as well, and we understand the solemn assembly, the holy day of the Pesach, the Passover, right? And that those that blow the trumpet are who? The oldest man and the youngest, right? That youngest man will eventually become the oldest, right? And we'll have to teach that ceremony unto the younger men. So it's all about passing down of knowledge. That's what our culture, consists of. The passing down of knowledge, of reasoning, of understanding, of the law, and ultimately, number one, worshiping Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. It says, many see the armor bearer as a picture of how believers should serve the Most High or support spiritual leaders with loyalty, humility, readiness, and courage. It shows the importance of being dependable in small roles before being trusted with larger ones. In short, the armor bearer was more than a servant. He was a trusted companion, defender, and trainee for leadership, embodying loyalty, humility, and courage. Now, I have more precepts, right? Because Yahweh Shai said this. It's Luke 12 and 32. And it reads, fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Now, I brought this out due to the fact that there's ultimately a level up in rank, for that armor bearer. As we see, King David was an armor bearer unto Saul, but ultimately the kingdom was given unto the hands of King David and taken from Saul, right? So you being the how can you say it? I believe this said it better. You being the support of that leader, Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai will give you rank in due time, which ultimately, we're all going to receive that rank, man. And that's why this precept was brought out, man. Because Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai is going to give his armor bearers, which are the elect, that position, and joint heirs with him, the kingdom. Because we're all armor bearers under Yahweh Shai, man. Because we're doing what? And we're following his lead. We're supporting him. Much like John the Baptist, we're ushering in Yahweh Shai, right? John the Baptist was like Yahweh Shai's armor bearer, man. Ushering in his way, preaching of the kingdom to come. Had the qualities in which Yahweh Shai was looking for. Same with the elect, right? So we're all armor bearers, in the spirit to Yahweh Shai. And further proof of that, when we go into the book of Ephesians, right, it speaks about the armor that we must put on. This is the same armor in which Yahweh Shai had, right, in order to combat what the war of the spirit and the flesh that he went through, man. So he's teaching us what? How to be in that stead and how to fight through this battle, right? This Ephesians 6 and 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yahweh, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, right? So we're putting on that armor in order to stand firm against what? Those wiles, that metaria, right? The cunning arts, the trickery, the deceit of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. What? And we're using what? All of the armor of the spirit in order to combat it, right? It says, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is what? Which is the word of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. Praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. Right? So that's the duty in the Spirit, in which we're fighting for. Right? And the Lord gave us the tools to do so. Now, I have another precept. It's coming from the book of Sirach 40. And 25, right? It says 24. Brethren and help are against time of trouble, but alms shall deliver more than them both. Gold and silver make the foot stand sure, but counsel is esteemed above them both. Right? These are the tools and the ways in which Yahweh Shema Shai, has given us in order to combat various, problems, right? Spiritual and physical, right? But as armor bearer, right, your duty is to do what? It's to support and aid in every way in which Yahweh Shema Shai has made you capable, right? And I have like one more precept and I'm going to close out. It's coming from the book of Philippians 2. And I'll start here at the top. It says, if there be therefore any consolation in Yahweh Shai, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any bowels and mercies. Matter of fact, I'm reading the NLT. It says, is there any encouragement from belonging to Yahweh Shai? Any comfort from his love? Any fellowship together in the Spirit? Are your hearts tender and compassionate? Right? And those are all questions. It says, then make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other, loving one another, and working together with one mind and purpose. Don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. These are the mindsets of who? The elect, the armor bearers. Don't look out only for your interest, but take an interest in others too. As the scripture says, I became all things unto all men, right? You must have that same attitude that Yahweh Shai had. Though he was a power, right? He did not think of equality with the power Yahweh as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave and was born as a human being, right? When he appeared in human form, he humbled himself in obedience to Yahweh and died a criminal's death on a cross. Therefore, Yahweh elected him, it's like he elevated him to the place of highest honor and gave him the name above all other names, that the name of Yahweh Shai, every knee should bow in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and that every tongue confess that Yahweh Shai Mashiach is Lord, to the glory of Yahweh the Father. So there it is. So Yahweh Shai played his position of armor bearer. So, hey, we all, have to be in that stead, but if you serve the position of armor bearer, hey, if that be your office, hey, do it to the best of your ability, man, right? Magnify that office, right? And that's for every position within the body, not just armor bearer, but, hey, make sure you're magnifying your office, hey, and, live into that position to the best of your duty, man, So that's the point, I know the lesson was kind of lengthy, but, hey, so be it, man. Spirit had it that way. Hey, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Harakah HaKodash. I double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS Great Millstone, and a sincere shalom to you, Akim, bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. Shalom.